Hey my friends, welcome to these readings. I got to be honest and say this full moon in Cancer has got me fucked on so many levels, and Uranus just stationed direct, but we do have Venus and Mercury in retrograde when I'm filming this, and your girl has definitely been feeling some funky ass energies, but I'm just letting it go through, letting it move through, doing my best not to attach to it. Yeah, it has been interesting to say the least. But yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to switch it up a little bit, switch up the energy, switch up the room. So we got Ram Dass here. This is my little meditation station, my little Zen space over here. But yeah, I'm super excited. So the topic of these readings is your current assignment. So what it is that you are currently exploring. We have just generally what the assignment is, and then we're going to get advice from your guides how to best utilize this assignment or how to execute on it, etc. So 5 piles to choose from today. Use your intuition above anything else. As always, you can always pause this video, but otherwise we're going to hop right into these readings. What's up, group number 1? Here's your reading for your current assignment. Now, it's very clear to me that your guides are coming through, and what I was hearing when I was first looking at your cards, I have this full spread here, but what I was hearing, you guys, was the saying, judge not after appearances. I feel like you guys might be doubting your progress, or doubting where you're going, or doubting your path, or doubting how much work you've actually done. There's a lot of doubt here because your current assignment has to do with addressing your shadow. Your current assignment is, I feel like it has less to do with addressing it. I feel like it's very obvious and very plain for you to see. Also, what I'm getting overall is that, it's like you're expanding and you can feel that you're moving in a direction that feels really good. You feel that you're moving in a direction that is bringing you closer to fulfillment on every level, bringing you closer to a state of independence, to where like your joy, your happiness, your prosperity just all around is not reliant on things external. I mean, I feel like there's a heavy sense of doubt here that I'm sensing from this group. That's just very clear that it's part of a very intricate part of your current assignment is to see through the darkness, right? We have here, I witness the darkness and call on the light with my prayer. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love. So I feel like you are being asked, well, I know you're being asked to remain flexible in what you're being shown, right? And what you feel like you're seeing. So this could be like external manifestations, you guys. This could also just be internal purges. Like when we get closer to stepping into more of our power more permanently, right? It's a little bit less of getting glimpses of a new kind of paradigm that we're existing in. And when we're, getting those glimpses, it's one thing. That shadow is not going to come up as much. Like we're going to experience more of like an excited fear. When you step in the direction of like, for example, when I started teaching fitness, it scared the shit out of me, but in a really good way. So I was meeting more of like an excited fear, right? But down the line, when you start to embody these paradigms more and you kind of like have gotten used to a paradigm, it's like, then that's where you're able to meet the more of like the deeper, darker elements of self that, they were still there in the beginning stages. That's also definitely part of that surface level of fear. But this is a more deep rooted, right? It's like, if you think of a tree, there can be so many branches, so many different manifestations, so many paths that we can take that will kind of trigger this sense of dis-ease that kind of indicates to us that we are believing an illusion and we're not seeing something clearly. And generally, it can be easy for people to remain on the surface of those things, right? But your current assignment is really asking you to get to the root of a significant fear, a significant aspect of your shadow, and it has to do with your purpose. It has to do with your divine destiny. It has to do with your dharmic path. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are really already on, to a deep extent, you're already on your way to fulfillment. I feel like you guys are already seeing positive manifestations, positive demonstrations that you guys are on your right path. I feel like you're, whatever it is that you're doing, you're starting to see that not only like it goes from that idea of like, oh, this could work. I feel like you guys are seeing manifestations that it is working, right? I mean, we have 18 right here, and then we have 19 here, and how I'm looking at it, it goes 18, 19. So I do see that you are moving forward. So there might be this, it's like, it's, you know, it's that energy that we all go through, you guys. It's the dark night of the soul. It's the Father, why have you forsaken me? I feel like I'm making all the right moves. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. And again, depending on when you're seeing this, like certain planetary things that happen, it supports everything, right? It supports these purges. And so if we just, it's only when the mind becomes involved, right? I witness the darkness and call on the light. What is the light, right? The light is clarity, right? The light is being able to see things with more clarity, and darkness is seeing things through greater amounts of illusion, or greater amounts of confusion, I should say here. Illusion is confusion, right? And so when we have these significant purges that are happening, it's like the planets are supporting this, right? The energy within the collective is supporting this, but it's like, are we tethering ourselves to that karma? Are we tethering ourselves to these non-serving ideas of ourselves, which actually keeps us there longer, and it keeps us from fully stepping into that paradigm? And it's like, there's really no rush, so don't feel bad about it. Don't let this add another layer of like guilt or feeling bad about yourself, right? Because I am hearing you guys that there at this time, your assignment, however long you're in this pocket, your current assignment is like, there will be many opportunities to get swept up in the bullshit, or to get lost in whatever confusion illusion is trying to suggest to you, right? And so with the flexible card and I witness the darkness, like I really am hearing like, judge not after appearances. Like appearances are things that happen externally. So as you like start to move into a brighter paradigm, it's like this quote that Alan Watts said, you guys. He one time said that, you know, have you ever wondered why people, when they, you know, are done being a rascal and they like want to find God, or they want to find like a deeper meaning of life and their higher purpose, how once they decide and they announce that, all of a sudden all of this shitty stuff starts happening. They lose their job, you know, they get fined for something that they did like 18 years ago or something, like all of this like bad shit starts to happen. And it's like, and he says it's because you let the devil know your plans. Right? And then he follows up in saying, but who do you think the devil is, right? The devil is you. God is you. You're both sides of it, right? And it's not even necessarily that, like it's your karma is catching up to you in a negative sense. It's just the sense that, you know, negative things happen externally to us for the most part, especially when we get on the path of spirituality, because we're holding some level of guilt. We're holding some level of fear. We're holding some degree of shame or embarrassment for something. And so, of course, we're going to see those demonstrations externally. The only reason those demonstrations are happening is in order to get us to release our sense of identity, or release a sense of authority from those negative things happening, right? And what it means to judge not after appearances, this doesn't just mean the negative things, right? What is negative? It's just shit that your ego doesn't like, right? Stuff that makes you uncomfortable for an extended amount of time, whether it's like 5 minutes too long for you, or 5 months too long, or 5 years, it doesn't matter, right? But it's our attachment to this idea that we know why things are happening, or, you know, especially in the spiritual community, this like really toxic hole we can get sucked down is like, like there's something wrong with me, or I'm not visualizing good enough, or I'm not staying high vibe. Like that is extremely toxic, right? It's not about staying high vibe. It's like, in order to move up, you have to like move through all of the darkness and all of the shadow. So it's not denying your shadow, but at the same time, it's not giving it more authority than what it deserves, right? It's just part of this planet of polarity, right? And so judge not after appearances. You're judging not after what's happening externally on a gross level of manifestation, but also the sneakiest part with this moon card, you know, the shadow card, that's almost sneakier than demonstrations externally, or what's happening up here, right? And so it's really important, if you guys have meditation, if you're on your meditation game, etc., it's really important that you are you're utilizing the tools that you have, so you're not buying into that, right? And the second you start to see those mind loops coming in, because you see a demonstration externally, like a manifestation that you don't like, internally notice what happens, and vice versa. Also, depending on what transits are happening in your planet or in your chart, and what the planets are doing. Like right now, for example, I'm very aware, you know, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and it's a full moon. There's a lot of like intense purges. Venus is in retrograde. There's been a lot going on with like things about past loves coming up and traumatic heartbreaks and all of that, right? Just being aware, right? And you don't even have to be aware. It can help. Obviously, it can help when you understand, you know, from a broader context, like scientifically, but just do not judge after appearances. And when stuff starts to get really good too, do not make that mean anything about anything, right? Just ultimately know that you are on your divine path. You are on the path of your divine destiny. continue to look to God, continue to move forward in whatever endeavors you're doing, and do not make anything that's happening in your life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, mean anything. And I'm hearing a lot of this has to do with darkness, right? A lot of this has to do with aspects of yourself that you're uncomfortable with. A lot of this has to do with aspects about yourself that you thought that you had transcended years ago or like months ago for some of you. But I feel like it's like you're coming back to a loop that you're like, fuck, why am I here again? Like I thought I was farther along or whatever, right? That's an appearance. That is a thought, right? It's not real. None of it is real. Don't buy into it. It's all just like energy moving through, right? When you understanding spirituality, understanding the nature of reality, it sets us free because you can call it for what it is, right? There's a reason why like Ayurveda and the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about all of these forms, the world of forms in different states of energy. And from those different states of energy are born all of the elements, etc., right? And so these are all necessary things in order to have a relevant human experience, right? But the more that you can detach yourself from the comings and goings, like being accountable for your life, like still taking action. But I am hearing that your assignment, you guys, you tend to get really swept up in your shadow. You tend to take the bait of assuming that you are not as far along as you actually are. I mean, there's a lot here about waters. I almost see this as like the cups being in these waters. Like you're moving there. I feel like you are like worlds ahead of where you were even just a year ago, like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all around. Like you've been following your North Star. Like this literally is like he's following his North Star, right? You are making an immense movement forward. And I feel like there's a huge part of you that just needs to be, maybe there's something that's happening that's like really uncomfortable in your external life. Like you have to make some changes, you have to make some shifts, or, there's something that you need to do that like you don't like or is uncomfortable, right? So there's an aspect here about remaining flexible with your incarnation and things not going according to your plan, right? But it's like the deeper you get on this path, the more you can be certain that you need to be okay with being uncertain, right? That's like true faith is when you're kind of giving up, you're just like opening your sails and letting the winds of the universe kind of take you where it needs to and kind of show you what it needs to, right? So there's definitely an aspect here, and I feel like this shadow aspect has more to do with like your faith and calling darkness for what it is, right? Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love. So there might be something significant that has happened to you that has triggered a deep fear or something that you thought you were over or whatever, right? There's something that has definitely, I feel like, been triggered, or a series of events that has been triggered, probably through external conditions that's asking you to see it through a more malleable lens, right? When we're too rigid, right? When a stick is too rigid, it's bound to break. But if you think of bamboo, right? Bamboo is one of the strongest things in nature on our planet because of its flexibility, right? So this is asking you to tap more into your strength. Tap more into your true strength by what allows us to be flexible, seeing things through a spiritual eye, right? Rigidity comes when we lose touch with spiritual truth, right? And so, I feel like maybe there too, you guys are, overall, I don't need to carry this on anymore. You guys are on the right path. You're doing great things. You're on your way. You have been experiencing more and more brightness, more and more fulfillment, for more extended periods of time. And as you shift into a brighter paradigm, as you shift into making this more sustained, more long-term, as you solidify your new reality to this not just being glimpses and this just being your new norm, the amount of success you're experiencing, recognition, prosperity, etc., as that becomes more of your new norm, all of that those shadow aspects that do not support that paradigm cannot come with you. And so it's like you're going to have to face them off. You're going to have that final stand. Don't take the bait of assuming that means you haven't actually grown. No, that's a good thing. That means that you have come extremely far, and you're not doing that two-step where those shadows could be supported, right? Your shadows can be supported in the paradigm that you are now officially like stepping out of. Those shadows could be supported. So that's why they were a little faint. That's why they weren't so in your face. But now that you're solidifying into this brighter realm, right, this higher density, what does that mean? That means more light exists there. Less darkness exists there, right? Just seeing the darkness for what it is. Seeing this transition, this journey you're on for what it is. It's like the brighter, the higher the density, the less shadow can go with you. So it's like you're going to have this final standoff. So you are on your right path. Your guides want to say, do not question if you're on the right path. Do not question, don't let guilt, don't let fear, don't let insecurity, don't let embarrassment, whatever it is. Don't take the bait. right? And whatever past versions of yourself did, just remember they were operating under the best, they were doing the best they could with whatever paradigm they were at in that point in time, whatever tools they had available to them, right? It's all like you can trust. You can really, really trust pile number one. You're doing great, right? If there's anything, that just relax and just don't take the bait. Judge not after appearances. Judge not after appearances. All right, I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment anything down below, subscribe to my channel if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, group number 2? Here is your reading for your current assignment in this Earth school that we find ourselves in. So I feel like you guys, your current assignment has to do with, I feel like there's been someone that you've been thinking of, or a people, or like a group of people, and this could be or, and it can be and. I feel like you guys have been doing a lot of reflection on like your childhood, on past loves. I mean, depending on when you're watching this, I wouldn't be surprised, because we do have Venus retrograde, and we do have Mercury retrograde too, and we do have, when I'm filming this, it's also full moon in Cancer. So there's a lot of emotions, right? There's a lot of memories, I feel like, that could be coming up for you at this time about people that you've loved, and things that you wish you could have said, and things that you wish you could have done differently with your community or the people that were in your life. This could have to do with like jobs that you walked away from, but I feel like you've just overall, your current assignment has to do with like this deep state of reflection you've been in. And I feel like you have gone through a significant amount of healing through whatever, I feel like this definitely has to do more with like upbringing, and I feel like this has to do with like, for some of you, with first love stuff. For others of you, this does have to do with like family life, and just, I feel like you guys might be in a state of contemplation overall about, or just thinking. It's not even contemplation so much as it is like thinking, and I just feel like a heavy heart. I feel you guys are being given an opportunity to find a deeper level of contentment and a deeper level of peace and a deeper level of healing from whatever you guys have been through. I mean, we have this card here that says, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. So I feel like your current assignment is like just really accepting the fact that you guys are probably very different from a lot of the people that you grew up around. And it seems like you guys have carried this air of like not really fitting in, or feeling like you didn't really fit in, or it's like you guys are in the state of, I feel like your current assignment is like, instead of blaming yourself for the things that have gone wrong in your life and the relationships that didn't work out and what you could have done, and instead of blaming yourself or feeling guilty for the fact that your family is never going to understand you, no matter how much you try. And I just laugh because I get it. I feel like because we have this, like, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. And then you have 444 coming up, which to me is the card of like, to me, 444, my guides have communicated its own meaning to me, which is like integration, right? Integrating all of the lessons, integrating all of the things that you've learned up to this point in time. Right? And so for whatever reason, it might be like you guys might be going down memory lane, but instead of leaving you feeling better, it might be leaving you feeling like you missed out on something, or like you could have done something better. I mean, even though this card like feels, I don't know, she feels kind of sad. Like it's almost like she's thinking too much, like she's getting too swept up in it. She's losing herself in, you know, this illusion of the past. That's not to say that it's not relevant, right? Illusion does not mean irrelevant. However, I feel like a big part of your assignment probably also has to do with like your curriculum on Earth overall. You are meant to stand out, right? It's like out of all of these cups that this person could select, like he's picking up one cup, right? There's like something about you that stands out from the rest of other people, and you might have been picked on for that in the past, and really felt like no matter what you do, it seems like the community that you wanted, the friends that you wanted, I just get that you guys have just been odd ducks most of your life, and I feel like that's actually a gift, and Spirit wants you to just remember that this is a gift, that this about you is a gift, you know, because it's like This came up in one of the readings, and I wouldn't be surprised if a vast majority of you that chose this pile today didn't also choose this in the curriculum pile. But Spirit came through and essentially said, like, the reason why you felt like you haven't fit in anywhere is because that was almost a safeguard, right? Because the second you feel like you fit in somewhere, it's like you can kind of become stagnant. You can kind of become stagnant in your growth, and it's like you were meant to play a very particular role at this time, and if you got too comfortable with those group of friends at that time, you wouldn't have gone through all these other things. Or if you actually like ended up marrying that person that you fell, like your first love that you fell in love with like 10 years ago, 8 years, I don't know, right? Then you wouldn't have gone through the amount of growth and change and transformation that has led you to being the person that you are now. So I feel like it's like your current assignment is it's like, yes, you can go down memory lane all you want, and as long as you're experiencing like the beauty that you experienced, and if your reflections don't leave you in a state of feeling like you missed out on something, or feeling like you could have done something better, or feeling guilty for who you are, I feel like this continues to come back around to not feeling guilty for who you are. And with 4442, that is also traditionally known to be the number of being surrounded by archangels, right? And so even though I feel like maybe you haven't really felt like you had a sturdy community, and maybe you're getting, glimpses of that now, I don't know, but even if you have felt like you've been on a very solitary path, just left on your own, can't really share what you really think about with other people, can't really share your innermost world, your innermost depths with other people, your angels have been with you. They've heard you. They've been with you every step of the way, right? And even consider this too, that, sometimes those beings that make the most amount of change on our planet, you guys, they aren't recognized until sometimes decades, almost centuries after they lived. And so that's not to make it seem like that's not in any way to make you feel like you can't have that now, because we are in the age of Aquarius. So our ability to connect with other people, whereas in the past, like in this day and age where cottages like this were very normal, like if you were alone, or if you were like, a light worker in that time, you would have felt very alone. But the fact that we have, all of this technology, the Ethernet, right, that connects all of us, it's like it's a lot easier to find your tribe and people that like are like-minded to you, right? And so there's a huge aspect. Your guides are really wanting you to put, again, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe, not in the amount of people in my life that understand me, or the amount of appreciation I'm being shown from my family, right? That ultimately, despite what they might say, are never going to understand you, because you haven't taken a traditional path, or you're very different in some way, or, you've rebelled against their paradigms, right? You had no choice. A lot of the times, like, old souls tend to be born amongst family of young souls. It's very, very rare that I see. It's very rare. It is possible, and I feel like I'm seeing it more and more because of social media, but in my immediate environment, I feel like it's very rare to see a family of old souls incarnate together. Generally, it's like younger souls, maybe even mature souls, and then like an old ass to advanced soul that's like literally not taken birth on the planet before, right? It's very rare that you see that, and there's it just is what it is. I just get that you guys are powerful light workers, and so this path has felt very lonely because a lot of people don't see through your eyes, right? But you've always stood out. It's like even the people that don't understand you, it's like I feel like what may not ever say this to you, but there's like a deep amount of respect that they have for you, right? Yeah, and understanding too. I was drawn to the word reflection here. It's like remembering too that how other people treat us is always a reflection of their own paradigm. It's never a reflection of us, right? It's always we're always giving to each other glimpses of how we perceive the nature of reality, right? That includes our paradigms, which a paradigm is your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical understanding of the nature of reality, right? The more dense, so the less amount of light that exists within a paradigm, it's like the more likely we are to project a lot of suffering onto other people, right? But the more that we, reach towards those realms of Christ consciousness and beyond, it's like there's a lot less projecting happening, right? yeah, it's interesting that I said Christ consciousness, because I am hearing another Bible quote come through, which is, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. Like, one of the reasons why, maybe again, why you felt like you haven't fit in up to this point in time is because Spirit just really wants you to like stay on your straight and narrow, right? I actually heard my guides this morning in meditation say, what did they say? Oh yeah, they were actually helping me tweak this perception too. Or maybe I was just intuiting this pile or something. I don't know. I definitely feel like it had to, you know, it was a message to me, but it's interesting that this is now coming up in this reading specifically, because they were like, we have had bumpers on you to greatly reduce the amount of karma you accrue while being on the planet. Because the more karma, the more likely you are to come back and to have to, you know, repeat certain lessons, whether you resonate with being a native to Earth or not, right? And so it's almost like they've been safeguarding you. Your guides have been safeguarding you, because it's like on one level you could perceive it as punishment or something wrong with you, but on a higher level it's like, this is a safeguard. This is a contract between your higher self and the other souls you were meant to impact and help expand, right? It's a safeguard. So you can actualize on your contract to like help influence their light codes, to help activate their light codes through your own understanding, your own understanding, without getting sucked up in the drama. So it's like, maybe you have even felt like you can't fully open up to yourself. Like, you can't have these human relationships to the degree that you see other humans having them, right? And I feel like this memory lane and everything you've been like thinking about, we even have with 6 and 4, we have 10 coming up here. But I feel like Spirit is really just like, your assignment is to really hone in on and fine tune your experience or your relationship to feeling like you don't have a person, or you don't have a community, or like you'll never have that one person, right? I'm not saying that you'll never have like an intimate partnership or anything. That's not what I'm saying. Some of you guys do, and most certainly will. I am saying though that it's different. I just feel like it is very different when you come in here and your levels are as expanded to the degree that you guys are. It's like you can't share. It's like there's a reason why it says do not throw your pearls at swine, right? The people in your life are not pigs. They're not swine, but it's the notion of you can't share your innermost treasures, your innermost pearls of wisdom, and not have them become diluted because they have fallen upon deaf ears, right? And so it's like, I feel like intuitively, you just know that you can't fully show up. You can't ever be fully seen, to the degree that maybe you sometimes feel like you see people around you being able to be received by their partner or their family or whatever. And it's a safeguard. There's a reason. It's like your level of faith in the universe. Like the Spirit is really asking you to be like, okay, yeah, you can enjoy your interactions with those people and you can enjoy those memories, but don't think for a second that you did something wrong, or that it was supposed to go any other way. Because I am hearing there have been some tough decisions that have had to be made from you guys. There's been a lot of healing in the department of friendship, in the department of love, in the department of just family in general. I feel like it's been a journey. I'll just say that. And so your current assignment is, as you reflect back onto these, because I feel like the planets are supporting this right now. And I feel like it's just whenever you're drawn to this, obviously whatever is going on in your own transits are really supporting this right now. But, don't get so lost in the thought that you start to feel contracted, because that shows unfaith in the universe, right? But your levels of happiness, the more that you see it and you can appreciate it, you can be like, oh, like, so. Ram Dass would always say, so. Because you just see that is what the fuck it is. Right? We live, we experience, we die. We live, we experience, we die. We live, we experience, we die. That's it, over and over and over again. It's never ending. In this galaxy and other galaxies, and then one day it'll be, all eaten up and then spit out a different way. Right? So the more you can be sure you're seeing through illusion, the more that your lens of perception starts to get narrow, because then you start to feel bad. Then it becomes about that one person and that one love, and obviously don't judge yourself for any feelings that you have, or that one thing that your family member said to you 10 years ago that you still can't get over, that they never apologized for, right? Like, whatever it is, like, let it go and see it for what it is. Like, seeing things, when you put things into perspective of what's going on and you see more through the eyes of God, you see the nature of reality for what it is, it's easier to let go of this stuff. And even the bullshit, you start to look on the bullshit with a certain level, but in a certain degree of just so, and just like appreciation, right? When you can see all events in your life through an appreciative lens, whether or not you'll ever be fully received by your family, or whether or not you feel like you'll ever be fully received by anyone. It's like you are on a straight and narrow because your most important connection in this incarnation has to do with spirit, right? Because some of us come in, some higher selves know very well that certain entities will come in and their most important relationship is going to be with someone else, another individual, because that's very necessary for their stage of evolution. You guys are at a different stage where your most important connection is source itself, your higher self, right? And so it's a weird dichotomy because that's a true level of fulfillment and unfuck with ability that you get from that type of connection. But it can feel very lonely sometimes. It can feel like the path of the hermit, most definitely. But it is for a reason, right? And the type of fulfillment you get here and just what you experience, the small interactions that you start to experience with your cashier or people passing by, when you see that you can experience a deep, profound love for someone you've never even met before. That's a reflection of your connection to spirit. That's a direct reflection of your connection with the universe, right? With source. Because then you're in love with everyone, right? That's true love. That's unconditioned love. Like, I don't have to know you to know that I have deep love for you because I see God in you, right? That's the path that you guys are on. That's your current assignment, right? So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought peace, clarity, confirmation to your heart today. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, group number 3? Welcome to your reading for your current assignment. Now, it's very clear that there is a significant cycle that is ending or that's just ended. I mean, when I was first turning over these cards, I noticed 7 and 3, which is 10, right? And I was like, okay, something about a cycle. And then, of course, the last card I flip over, and the spread of cards is the death card. So, there's something very significant here that requires patience and planning. I mean, we have the Page of Pentacles coming up right underneath this card. And it's directly linked. I feel like this new transition that you're making, you guys, your current assignment has to do with calling upon your storehouse of like just owning who you are and who you came here to be. I mean, I'm right underneath the solar plexus. You have the Strength card coming through. So this is really, whatever you guys are currently experiencing, like this is most certainly has to do with external things. This is a very earthly thing that's happening, right? I feel like something significant has ended, or you are being asked to end a significant cycle, a significant relationship, a job, something, right? Something that has been bringing a lot of chaos and conflict into your life. And it probably already is, and that's why you're kind of feeling this unrest or this like, I'm just so ready to move on. It's interesting, this is pile 3, and we have so many 3s coming up too, right? Because there's a level of fear, right? We have 3 through 3. There's a level of fear that you guys aren't going to be protected or you're not going to have what you need, but you know, your guides are coming through and saying that like literally the Ascended Masters are with you. You guys are highly protected. Right? We have my capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I'm lost. Right? So this is asking you to call upon your power, like this deep wellspring of power. And I feel like whatever you guys, your current assignment is, of course, like understanding, recognizing, just being honest with what the fuck is going on, right? So whatever is going on in your experience, being honest of like, it's been bringing chaos into my life. It's been bringing conflict into my life. I haven't been speaking up. I've been swallowing my truth. You know what happens to that? When you start to swallow your truth more and more, guess what happens to this? It starts to dim. It goes out of balance. Wow, the way the light is, it almost looks like this is like pulsating. You see that? So it's like, that goes out of balance. The more that you repress your truth, the more that you walk on eggshells around who it is that you came here to be, the more that's going to go out of balance. So there's something significant in your external life that has been bringing a level of dis-ease to who you are. And I feel like you guys have been repressing your truth. You guys have not been fully sticking up for yourself, fully standing up, standing in your power. And it's been bringing an internal sense of chaos and conflict, right? I've never noticed this. I knew that this was like look different, but it's like, this is a zebra and a giraffe at the same time. It's like you're pretending to be something that you're not, right? And it's creating a huge amount of chaos and conflict. Or even if it's not to that extent of I'm pretending to be someone different, when you don't fully express who you are, you don't fully chime in, or you don't fully stand up for yourself, and you kind of let other people dictate your decisions in life and what happens in your life, like you, in a way, are still pretending to be something you're not. right? And so there's a huge opportunity here. Your current assignment is there is a huge opportunity to like make leaps and bounds in who it is you came to be, and leaps and bounds in strengthening your solar plexus. Like, man, I had to face one of my deepest fears last year when I had to do something and I had to stick up in a big way, and it had a lot to do with what the fuck's happening on the earth, all the chaos and conflict happening on the planet. And I had to go from being this sweet little Marissa that everyone knew me as, and I literally had no choice. It's like, and I feel like this might be why this is coming up, because your guides are like, eventually, if it's written in your blueprint and it's part of your assignment, you guys, it's like you will be pushed up into a corner where you have no choice, right? What happens to a dog when it's provoked enough and it's pushed into a corner? You're going to snap, right? And so I had an activation, that's what my guides called it, where I had no choice. And at first it was scary. It created a fuck ton of chaos and conflict. Holy shit. But I had never felt so alive. I never felt so powerful. And like, I would not take any of that back. I had so many people turn their back on me. I was canceled, essentially. I was like one of the main faces of this organization that I worked for. Like, there's even billboards of me that's, my friends took a picture in like San Diego, and I live in freaking Oregon, right? Like, that's how deeply involved I was with this organization. I completely turned my back, and it happened so fast, right? It all happened so fast. And my guides told me months before, if you don't make this decision yourself, you're going to have no choice. You're going to get to a point to where you have no choice sooner than later. And that sooner came versus later, right? But I would never take that back, because it brought me into even more alignment with this, you guys. And I feel like you guys are going through something very similar to that. There's a significant part of you that you are about to shed. You're going to go through a major up-leveling, a major death cycle, right? Which requires patience and planning. This definitely has to do, this just tells me that it has to do with, it requires like patience in regards to whatever purges that is going to happen on the level of your solar plexus, right? Whatever purges and insecurities, like, that's all part of it. Having patience with the process. We even see here like a yellow light up here with the yellow orbs over here. So it's like, I feel like you guys are going to feel very like extremely empowered the more you make decisions where like you start to speak up for yourself. It literally says, when you tune into the energy of love, like, the words you need, they come, right? The words I need when I'm ready to speak up come. The compassion that you need when it's time to forgive comes. And the power you need when you're lost, it comes, right? But when you're tuning into that field of love, when you're tuning into what is divine love, it's divine nonchalance. It's when you're not making any assumption about who anyone else is or who you are, or who you've been, when you're just allowing these purges to happen, when you're not resisting your power, right? When we resist our power, it's because I feel like there's a deeper part of you that knows that the more that your power comes on, the less that you are able to handle the bullshit around you. The less likely that your reality is going to remain as it's been, right? But it's, to what extent do you want it to remain as it is? If you feel like at the end of the day that you're this freaking bomb-ass giraffe pretending to be a zebra, and they're both awesome animals. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but it's like, it's like, a zebra is the bombest zebra there is when it's owning its complete zebra-ness. And a giraffe is the bombest animal and the bombest giraffe it is when it's owning all of its giraffe-ness, right? And so you're being asked to own pile number 3, all that it is that you came to embody. And I feel like this is very new for you. I feel like it's been maybe easier for you to play it safe and to kind of let other people it's almost like you've been playing it safe. Yeah, I just said that with the patience and planning. It's like, you're very particular. It's like, again, I'm getting this sense of like walking on eggshells around who you are because you don't want to trigger other people, right? And I feel like that's beautiful. That's wonderful that you are so, we need more people like this that are so aware of how their reflection or how their expression affects other people. Because a lot of people are just in their feelings right now on this time on the planet. And you see a new Karen video. Karen's out in the wild. I'm sorry if your name is Karen. My aunt's name is Karen, and she is the most amazing, beautiful person I've ever met. So I'm so sorry if your name is Karen. But I mean, Karen's out in the wild every 30 seconds being uploaded on some social media platform is, people projecting their own insecurities, their own darkness, their own fucking confusion and illusion onto other people, right? So I'm not saying give that part up of yourself. Being aware of how your expression impacts the world is like, we need more people like that. I am saying, however, it's like, your guides are saying that you have built that empathy and compassion up enough That storehouse is built up enough. Now it's becoming detrimental to you. Your current assignment is, how do I step in my power even more? I mean, there's so much like solar plexus, Leo, sun energy coming through. This is like owning your badassery, not dimming yourself down anymore. Stop playing it small. Stop being afraid to be the one to stir up the chaos, to stir up the conflict, right? Because again, I feel like whatever big change is about to happen in your life, or that you are being called upon to make, or you guys probably came to this reading wondering, should I leave this? Should I finally end this? Whatever this is for you, insert X, right? Insert what it means for you. Should I? Or this is something you've been ruminating on. This is your yes. There are so many things confirming yes, yes, yes. It's time. And it might make your external life a little bit messy for a little bit, right? But it's so worth it. And it's so worth it, because there's nothing that, it's like, there's a reason why seek ye first the kingdom and all else is added unto you. What is the kingdom? The kingdom is your connection to your soul stream, is your connection to your higher self. When you seek that connection first, how do I get in even more alignment with that soul stream, right? That's by following your excitement, your emotional guidance system. It's by following where you feel the most aligned to your power, right? That's your Shakti, right? Life force is power. Right. And so when we're tuning into realities and we're like, want to make decisions, or we're thinking about different timelines, for example, and one timeline makes us feel whatever, and another timeline makes us feel like, whoa, alive and powerful. That is your emotional guidance system telling you what timeline you should go towards, right? And generally we kind of block that inner intelligence, our inner compass, which actually gets weaker. Again, talking about this, it actually gets weaker the more that we deny it, the more that we deny our intuition. It gets weaker. It's like a muscle, right? But the more that you work to strengthen it, it can only get stronger by you like taking the plunge and going for it and remembering you can't fuck it up. There's nothing you can do to mess it up. And I mean, the entire system is crumbling down anyway, so this now is the best time, to get a little bit messy. The world is falling apart, my friends, the world as we know it. So it's like you are going to become more confident in yourself holistically to be the guide of your life, because you're taking direct orders from source. Right? The words come to you when they're meant to. The right words at the right time. You go to the right place at the right time. You find the right person at the right time, because you're not doing it. Your smaller self is doing it. There's like a misplaced sense of power here. Placing the power that other people have some sort of influence over you. My friends, when you are connected to the soul stream of God itself, God trumps all. And no one else. This whole notion of evil eye, and this whole notion of someone can come after me, someone can seek vengeance, it is illusory. Because as long as there's that saying too of those that fight by the sword will die by the sword, right? Live by the sword, die by the sword. So if you're living in the realms of man and the realms of mortality and those things that can perish, and the realms of like, someone else can bestow karma onto me or whatever, right? If you're living in those realms, and if you're doing that, and if you're assuming that and you're hoping that for other people, then of course you're going to subjugate yourself to that. But when you release your sense of self, your sense of identity from all these things that are ephemeral, anyone that you've been in the past, anyone that's wanted you to dim your light in the present, whatever, right? When you're going straight to source, that trumps everything. And no one has an effect on you, not to the same degree that they would have if you were still buying into the same game that they're playing. You're beyond the game, right? Or this is your current assignment, is going beyond the game. But it's really going to ask you to tune into an aspect of yourself and to activate, to bring online an aspect of yourself that has just been waiting to emerge. And I feel like you might have been getting little glimpses, pile 3, little glimpses here and there of this emergence waiting to happen. And it's like you have no choice. It's going to happen by your will, or it's going to happen in a way that is going to be a bit messier. But either way, mine ended up being a hell of a lot messier. But honestly, at the end of the day, I needed that. I needed to finally remove myself from caring so much about what other people thought about me. That's your prison. We imprison ourselves when we, again, live by the sword, die by the sword. Man's mind is fucking insane. Man's mind is so insane, you guys. Like, the more that you pay attention to your own mind and how conflicting and paradoxical and just how we're constantly at a battle within our own minds, the more you recognize that in other people. And you're like, why would I ever want to place my sense of identity in that insanity, in the insanity of humanity, right? And so don't. The more that you see that, the more that you see how, again, live by the sword, die by the sword. If you put your sense of self, your sense of identity in the hands and in the awareness and the perception of man, you are bound to suffering. But the moment you set yourself free from that, the sooner you set yourself free from that and you're like, I don't care what the fuck you think about me. I don't care what the fuck I even think about my own self, right? My only worry or my only concern is conscious connection with my source. That's all that I care about. Everything else is taken care of, right? My impurities are cleansed when they're meant to. My misperceptions are cleansed when they're meant to. But I'm not going to make anything more than what it is. Because I know that the more that I do that, the more I shackle myself, the more I cage myself to my own hellhole. And you see that happening all around you, right? So this is really just like, again, to come back around. And I'm so glad that I went through that experience because I finally released a huge tether to me not fully owning my power. And that was caring what the fuck people thought about me, right? And so now I'm in a place where it was messy. There was a lot of insecurity that came up. You know, I quit my job. I had no source of income. I let go of like a huge following, right? So like death after death after death in so many areas of my life. And because of it, I have a true sense of freedom that I wouldn't have experienced if I had stayed in that situation that was safe. If I would have stayed in that situation that most people would be like, oh my God, that's so cool that you're there. I had so many people, even family that, you know, generally doesn't understand me, but because they saw the level of success I was calling in externally, they're like, oh my God, like come visit me in Washington, D.C., yada, yada, do all this stuff, right? I was getting all the accolades, but there was still a part of me that felt like I was selling my soul. Like I wasn't fully able to show up and come online as I was meant to be, right? And so that's your assignment is very similar. I'm feeling it's very similar. You can either acknowledge it and do it now, or I'm hearing either way it's inevitable because it's part of your curriculum. It's part of your path. We need warriors like you, Pile 3. We need warriors like you owning their power, right? Because you do have a level of empathy that this planet needs, yes, and you've been growing that compassion muscle for quite some time. Now it's time to step into that power, man. To really own your power, your boldness, right? So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. What's up, group number 4? Here's your reading for your current assignment. Now, really clear because how I laid out the cards, and I just lay them out however, but I mean, there's no accidents that we have the 5 of Swords coming up twice, and this landed right underneath this conflict and defeat card. So I mean, it's very clear that something that you had a lot, that seemed very promising, right? That you had a lot of hope in. It's very clear that it's not working out, man. And something about it, I mean, it just wasn't meant to be. I feel like something that you had a lot of hope in and something that you felt like was going to bring you a certain amount of joy and that you were really excited about. I feel like this is saying that... yeah, it didn't work out the way that you expected, right? For some of you, it might even be saying that something that you have just birthed or that you have started or whatever, like maybe you guys expected, like you're just like 3 months into something, 3 to 5 months, because I am saying 3 and 5, right? Maybe you're 3 to 5 months into something new and you expected to blow up overnight, right? Or something. Like your success isn't here or you aren't seeing the fruits of something that you... where like whenever you visualized or whenever you would think about it brought you a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment and a lot of whatever, right? Maybe you haven't taken off in the way that you assumed you would have. And it's something that seemed very promising and you're like, oh, it's almost like you feel like that, Father, why have you forsaken me? Why the fuck would I get all of these downloads and be guided in this direction if it's not going to work? And I feel like there's a level of mistrust and unfaith in the universe, right? But it's like we have a tower coming through and the tower is known to only knock off that which is unstable. It's only taken off the top of this tree. It's like your whole foundation is not being knocked away, maybe just a certain part of it. We even have the tree coming up behind this woman's head, so that's interesting. So there might be an aspect of you too that is too heady about this because we do have the 5 of Swords coming up twice. Maybe there's an aspect about you that like, again, thought that you knew what's best for you or thinks that things should work on your timeline or has to work on your timeline, right? Trees remind me of things that take time, right? The greatest oak starts from the smallest little seed. And oftentimes we want to get to the end of the oak before we've even gone through that process of laying on a really sturdy foundation, right? And so in this day and age, in the age of Aquarius, when there's all this very quick moving energy on our planet, you know, Aquarius is ruled by Vata dosha, That's the an exuberant amount of the air and the ether elements, right? So that can create a lot of anxiety, that can create a lot of impatience, right? So I feel like either something that felt very promising, whether a relationship, a job, etc., something you feel defeated in that regard, and it's very clear that it's not working, and it kind of like caught you off guard, and or you have started something, you have begun a new project, a new venture, a new relationship, and it's just not going the way that your mind, your limited mind, thinks it should go, right? We have joy is the ultimate creator. With this fertility card, I feel like it's misplaced. You're misplacing your sense of joy. You're misplacing where joy is born of, right? It's not born of what we're doing externally. You're not going to get joy by seeking after it because there's a neediness behind that, right? In your current assignment, Spirit doesn't care about what's happening on the world of form. If you're integrating the lessons, or if you're ahead of the lessons, if you don't, then the form is not needed, right? It's like a university. What happens when you're in school, you guys, and you see kids that are just like, taking AP classes, right? And like what? So it's that notion of skipping grades. If you're already integrating the lesson, if you're already beyond what the curriculum requires of you, of what your higher self had sought out, then you don't need to take the lesson, right? And it doesn't mean anything good or bad. There's a lot of mind here, so I want pile 4 to really understand. Yeah, it's interesting that we have 3 to 5, and it's like a skipping, right? So I feel like you guys want to get to the end before you go through that. Like you're trying to skip things, pile 4. You're trying to skip a certain amount of evolution that's actually very necessary. You're like it's a misplaced sense of joy or a misplaced sense of like identity. Of I'm successful when my external reality looks this way. I am successful when I have this many subscribers. I am successful when I have this many clients, this many people on my newsletter, whatever it is. But missing the point, like you're tuning into the end of it, like that's the carrot on the stick that Spirit has you. Spirit has this carrot here, so you'll get moving in this direction so you can start doing that up-leveling process. So you can start transmuting certain limiting beliefs, limiting perceptions. But you think it's about the carrot. It's not. It's not about the carrot, believe it or not. It's about going through that process of transmutation. The carrot's only there to get you moving in a certain direction, right? It's interesting that we have this clean it up and the Tower card. So that is kind of my indication that it's like either cleaning up your perceptions and or cleaning up whatever bullshit, whatever chaos ensued from something crumbling down, or maybe you like had a moment, maybe you had a little Karen moment. I've had them too. I'm not judging, pile 4, but maybe you had a moment where there was so much misplaced identity and so much misplaced joy that you kind of like created this for yourself, like a self-sabotaging moment or something, right? There's just a notion of something that the carrot not going how you wanted it to go, and making it more about the carrot than you did about what the assignment is. And that's why you're drawn to this video. What's the assignment here? You can't skip a grade. You only skip grade levels if it's very clear that you don't, if it's very clear that you are embodying those codes. And guess what, pile 4, you can't fool God. You cannot fool Spirit. So you can't be a house divided against yourself where you're carrying yourself in all the right ways and you're doing all the things that... Ooh, you're doing all the things that so-and-so on YouTube told you that you should be doing, right? There's no hate there, but I just don't want to... you're doing all the things that it's being told of you to do, but it's like, it's just happening on the level of concept. Look, it's like she's stuck in this little paradigm in the realm of her mind, right? At least that's what I'm reading. That's what's coming out within the dynamics of these other cards too. You're divided against yourself, right? This worm is split in half because there's a lot of mind involved and it hasn't actually reached the level of depth. It hasn't reached the fullness of who you are, right? I see this more as her subtle body. That's the mental body. This is her subtle body. That's the level that Spirit is like, okay, pile 4 has integrated this code when it reaches the level of the subtle body, right? And it's also important to keep your heart open throughout that process. So pride might have been an aspect here. There might have been a level of pride that's bringing you to this point of feeling conflicted and defeated. It's all illusion, right? It's all relative and relevant for your experience, absolutely. But don't get swept up in the bullshit, right? Don't make it mean more than what it is. It's just like, okay, it's just an earth school. right? It's a school like anything else. You can't pass, you can't fail, but it can be perceived in that way. And it's like that, again, that's another way for the mind. It's interesting that I'm calling this Earth School and an assignment, because that's kind of like suggested, right, within this type of a reading. But it's like, the more that you let go of this, the more that you clean up your mental realm and you don't like over attach your identity to whatever you think is going right, whatever you think is going wrong, how you think it should look like, right? When you're cleaning that shit up and you're just being with whatever is, it's like, that is what takes you to essentially skip all the grades. Because at the end of the day, the spiritual journey, my most humble of opinions, is getting to that state of transcendence where you're not relying on external forms to be your source of joy. And you're not swept up in the bullshit when things start to, not go your way. You don't take that to mean anything about you, right? Because there's a lot of factors here that we don't have full access to on this level, pile number 4. That's really important for you to remember. Joy is the ultimate creator. So again, when things don't go your way or when things fall apart, like, what can you do so you're not spiritually bypassing, you're not allowing yourself to feel? Because there is a lot here that suggests that you're in your head a lot, right? And so it's important to feel more. And where do we access joy? Is by being connected to the present moment. How are we connected to the present moment? Because we're connected to our feelings, right? So we got to get out of our head and stop attaching narratives and stories and bullshit onto whatever's happening, right? And we can even make stories about our own stories. We can make stories about our own thoughts too. And Spirit's like, clean that shit up, right? That's your current assignment, is to clean it up. And I feel like, again, the carrot on the stick is whatever this relationship was, whatever this new beginning was, whatever, this endeavor is, your career is not going how you think it should, or, the rug was pulled out from under you, or, it's like something about it went wrong, or you perceived it to go wrong, and you perceive something not to be going right. There's some sort of conflict that has happened, or a defeat that you feel, that you're experiencing, and it's all illusion. Right? It's all there, like, again, to point you in a certain direction, so you're not sourcing your sense of identity or your sense of success from things external, right? Spirit cares more about the formless, so the energetics behind something, more than it cares about the form, right? It's like kind of like a flow chart when we come in. It's like, yeah, we have free will, but we also have like a divine blueprint, right? We have a soul's blueprint, a soul plan. And so it works almost like a flow chart. So like, if yes, then this option, these options. If no, then these options, but all within the context of what pile 4 came here to learn, right? And so again, you're not doing anything wrong. Our guides would never say we're doing anything wrong, but believe it or not, this is something that you signed up for. You wanted to explore this, right? Because you want true freedom, pile 4. True freedom lies beyond what's happening out here. And true joy, like, joy is the ultimate creator. You'll see this more and more. This is a big part of your curriculum in general, because the more joyful you are, regardless of what's falling apart around you, it's like you get to that space of being more content and more joyful, because more and more you recognize how anytime something is falling apart, you've only been left better off. Whether that's a relationship, a friendship, a job ending, whatever it is, you've only been left better off because it caused you to ask the deeper questions in life, right? It caused this necessary, like, all right, I need to look at myself in the mirror. I need to think about life, where it's taking me, where I'm going, right? And that's spirit redirecting you to the formless, the realms of the formless. But if you're doing your best to connect to this every day, because you're cleaning up all of your misperceptions by strengthening your spiritual eye day in and day out, then you're going to need a lot less of these external discomforts. And when they do happen, you don't care. You don't make it mean anything. Right? That's where we strengthen our faith muscle, is by, again, it's why the mystics and the sages and the yogis and all of the ascended masters have told us for aeons, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Do not lay your treasures up where moth and dust will corrupt. Right? Level of transcendence, transcending the realms of duality, is where you meet the kingdom. Transcending the realms of mind, right? Because mind is where duality. That's the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. That's the temptation. It's not good and evil. It's the knowledge. It's the idea that there is good or evil that causes all of this chaos, and that causes all of this internal conflict, where we become this house divided against ourselves, right? So whatever, like, don't take the bait of whatever just like fell apart or what's not going your way or what you think is not supposed to go the way that it's going. Don't take the bait, right? Continue to turn in, clean it up, keep turning to joy. And I'm hearing that it's important that you don't take this to mean that you shouldn't be going after this thing, right? For some of you, it's like, you might be redirected. Like, your calling is not going to change, but how you go about it might change. The world of form might change, but your heart, right? Where your heart is guiding you, or like your intention for something, let that remain the same. And sometimes, we go through this process of continual purification. So our ego will be involved in the things that we're called towards. Of course it will. The ego is necessary, right? But it's like the more that you purify, the more that you're going down this path, because it's less for the egoic reasons, and your heart starts to become purified along the way. Those are like integrity checks, right? And so your assignment this is beautiful. This is you guys are here for very beautiful reasons. You're doing big things on the planet, energetically, physically, I'm hearing as well, right? But just clean up those misperceptions. Meditation, contemplation, concentration. Do not be fooled by appearances. Judge not after appearances. Pile 4. And let joy be your ultimate creator. All right, I'm leaving this here for now. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, group number 5? Here is your reading for your current assignment within the realms of this Earth School. So this is going to be a mixed batch. I am getting a few different narratives within the context of these cards that's coming up. So for many of you guys, I feel like there are significant changes happening externally that might have happened because you really stuck to your guns in terms of what you will and will not put up with. And that's a great thing. I mean, we have the Stand Your Ground card coming up, and right underneath that, we have the Knight of Cups. So this kind of tells me, like, you sticking true to what feels right to you, like you staying true to your internal compass, which is beautiful. However, I feel like because you've had some relationships that might have fallen apart, some people walk away from you, or some people just being like weird with their energy towards you, that has caused you to like really retreat unto yourself, or like there's an invitation to retreat unto yourself with this No Place Like Home card, right? We also have, when I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real. So I feel like part of your assignment, there's like external changes happening that might have been caused by you being firm in what you will and will not put up with, which is beautiful. I am hearing that is like good. Kudos for you, pile number 5. However, I feel like it's left you in this place of questioning yourself, left you in a place of wondering if you're doing the right thing. There might be some instability in regards to home life, in regards to how am I going to make ends meet. Like the fact that you might have created a lifestyle, a life for yourself, and now that's being tested a little bit. Right now, it seemed to be compromised because you've maybe been pushed up against a wall. And so your current assignment really is to go into yourself, right? To find this true sense of security, this true sense of like being able to restore and to rejuvenate, is leaning on. When you're not leaning on your own understanding, right? There's a reason why that is said in the Bible time and time again is, well, I don't know if it's time and time again, but I've heard it time and time again, of like, lean not on your own understanding, right? Because that's when you lean on your own understanding, you're leaning on just what the limited egoic self thinks is possible. But pile 5, I feel guided to recommend Kyle Cease to you. Cease is C-E-A-S-E. He's incredible. He has, in many of his videos, he talks a lot about meditation, which I feel like the best teachers we have are the teachers that will tell you time and time and time and time and time again, above anything else, even following them, is to meditate, right? And I love he uses such tangible, realistic examples of the changes he's made and the goodness that was brought about. And he does so in a way where he's like, if I had followed my limited mind, which said A, B, and C was possible, and I didn't go into meditation and I didn't connect with my source, I would have taken this route, which made more sense and it was secure in some sense. But when I leaned not on my own understanding, right? When I leaned in the faith of the universe, like, it's incredible. Like, figures are like 10 times what they would have been, right? Opportunities are even greater than what they would have been. Like, you can still have a great home life. You can still have a great life when you're using more of your carnal mind, when you're leaning on your own understanding. It's like, you won't be punished. But Pile 5, you guys are at a point in your evolution where you are being asked to let spirit kind of take the reign a little bit more in your life, right? And so you might have been pushed up into a corner externally where certain things are falling apart. And it's good. I feel like you guys are very confident in your decision. You guys are really confident. But do know that once that activation energy kind of wears off, then you really meet yourself, right? Because when we're activated and we're like, fuck you, fuck the system, whatever it is you're saying, fuck you too, right? Whoever it is, it's like those fumes will take you so far. And that momentum is absolutely necessary and beautiful. But there comes a point where you need to sustain that flame, where you sustain your vision, where you sustain, okay, I feel very alone here, but for whatever reason, I know I need to do this. That's why Gandhi said, like, whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it, right? It's so in terms when we're speaking of the soul's plan and the soul's blueprint, I feel like that's what Gandhi was essentially touching on, right? When sages and mystics and yogis say things like, there's so many layers and so many levels to these things, but one aspect that feels relevant to touch on in this reading is, you know, it's going to be insignificant in the scope of the fact that this is one incarnation. This is one tiny fucking insignificant blip on the radar of eternity. It doesn't even show up. That's how insignificant this life is, right? But it is important in the sense that it aids to all of creation, that you are an aspect of God. You are divinity incarnate. There was something in particular that you wanted to explore. That was an itch, not a pick, okay? Just so you guys know, that was an itch, not a pick. But there was something very significant that you wanted to explore as God. And so you need to do it. Do it. Why not? You know, it's part of this. It's this, you know, Alan Watts used to say that as we explore, as we understand that we are the creator of the dream, it's like we stop dreaming so small and we take greater risks with what it is that we're going to dream, right? We take greater risks in terms of the surprises, the curveballs, right? The things that don't go right. We take greater risks. That's what it seems like anyways, because we're operating under a veil. We're operating under veils of illusion, veils of forgetfulness in order to make this experience relevant. And so we take greater risks. And so I feel like this is exciting. This is really exciting because I feel like you guys have really owned who you are. Like there were other piles where it was very clear that they were about to go through that activation period. And it was important that they learn that. They learn how to, you know, stick true to themselves and to strengthen their solar plexus. I feel like you guys are on the other end of that. You guys have stood your ground. You know what you're here for. You know what you will not settle for. You know what's possible. You are very in tune with higher timelines and new earth and what you want to create, right? And so now it's like your real training ground. Not saying any of it is more or less real, but it's like this is where you put your money where your mouth is. Right? This is where it's like you start to tip the scales in terms of being like more of a learner to being more of a teacher and more of a guide. Right? And so you guys are, you know, going to be teaching other people and leading other people unto themselves, onto this path of, you know, the road less traveled. You know, and this has been coming up in a lot of the readings, and I'm not surprised because I just attract, you know, bomb-ass people to my channel. Right? It's just like whatever it is that I'm putting out, you know, I'm here for it because I get to read for you guys. And I have powerful fucking people drawn to this. But it's that saying in the Tao of the path that seems difficult is easy. The path that seems difficult is easy. And the path that seems easy is difficult. So when you are selling your soul is what I say. Because I you know, sometimes I think when you talk in extremes, it really drives the point home. But essentially when you sell your soul, so you sell out on yourself, you don't stand your ground, that seems like the easy way out. But at the expense of what? At the expense of your own life force, your own Shakti. Because you're saying, nope, I'm going to deny why I'm here. That's you coming out of alignment with your soul's plan, your soul's purpose. But when you stand your ground, you're like, nope, like it seems difficult at first, but then your path is made so clear because you are aligning with something that transcends and trumps this world of form and the mind of mortal man. You're aligning with the power that creates it all. So of course your path is going to be made clear for you. But that leap, it's that jump that's the hardest part. Going from what you can see and what your limited mind can assume and predict into having to literally release it in order for your path to be essentially made and laid out for you as you take the steps, right? One of them seems easier because everyone else is doing it, but then you get into their field and there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of unfulfillment there, and there's no judgment. That's just what it is, right? We just need to get better at being okay with being real about what the fuck is going on, right? That's the only time true change happens, is when you're accepting of it and when you're not in denial of it. We're all going to play all the parts, right? And so then you get to this point of where my pile fives are being led. There's no place like home. What is your home? Home is wherever you are, because you're aligning with the universe. You're aligning with universal energies. You're aligning with source itself, right? So there might be an aspect of this that you're like, okay, I feel like this is the right thing to do, but now I'm a little bit nervous because I'm like, okay, now this is really putting my money where my mouth is. Spirit's like, I got you. Pile 5, I fucking got you. Because you are doing God's work, right? You are helping to set other people free through your example. So there's a lot here about going into yourself, right? Your home life is going to be taken care of, right? The path, I don't know how it happens, and I can't pretend like I know how and why it happens the way that it does. But I just promise I can, from one person to another that has had to make these types of decisions where I'm like, I'm not going to sell out. And it can even feel prideful in some moments, but it's like that pride is almost necessary when you are existing on a planet that wants you to disconnect from your place of power. It's like it almost feels prideful to just like stick up for yourself because this is a planet of such disempowerment, right? But just trusting ultimately that, like, you know, you're going to have to, the only way out is through, is what the fuck I'm trying to say here. And so don't worry about making the wrong move. You can't, as long as you're doing your best. You know, you can't fool God, and Spirit knows where your heart is at. So if you're doing your best to do what you feel is right for your incarnation and for the rest of humanity, you will be taken care of. I promise. Again, I can't say that I always know how it works, the mechanics behind it, but I know that it does. Because I've been in communication with people. I know people that I actually know them. And then we see in this beautiful age of Aquarius, we have access to so many testimonies of what it means to live a life of faith, live a life in spirit, living a life on the road less traveled, right? It seems more difficult. It seems more dangerous. It seems more risky. But the beautiful part of being, you know, live on the years of 2020 to 2022, or whenever you're watching this, is that we see what the fuck security really is. It's an illusion, right? And as long as there's like power and control, and like as long as that's involved, which, you know, being a planet moving into the 4th density, moving from like the imbalanced masculine solar plexus chakra into a more feminine, receptive, open heart space, there's going to be a lot of those power purges, right? And so that's where, that's the power, that's the control, etc. But you definitely came here you are a powerful light worker. And I just realized the true definition of a light worker. It doesn't just mean like, I almost thought that just meant it was like you were only on Earth. Excuse me. But light worker is essentially being like wanderer. That's what I would call a wanderer. It's a being that just like doesn't resonate with one star system in particular or one planet in particular, but just kind of feels like they belong nowhere. They're just like a cosmic traveler, right? That's what a wanderer is. It's like you just go to the places. You're like, all right, this is the planet I'm going to. This is what we're doing here. This is what we're doing now. But you just shed light wherever you go, even if you don't resonate with like that more cosmic, if that's too woo-woo for you. But it's just like you were literally meant to shed light wherever you go, to shed empowerment, codes of endearment, codes of you can fucking trust yourself, and you need to. If you're going to lead a successful and a fulfilling life, you have to trust yourself. It's not, ooh, I'm going to trust myself sometimes and not other times. It's like you have to be okay with looking stupid. You have to be okay with sometimes bumping against yourself and realizing where that was just ego disguised as higher wisdom. You have to be okay with like people misperceiving your best of intentions. You have to be okay with it, right? But that's part of the path of purification, is like your ego can't go with you. That's vanity. Vanity is trying to control people's perceptions of you, right? Even that can be a really innocent thing that we do. But when you're trying to put on a front so people can perceive you in a certain way, that's vanity, right? That's ego. But when you're like, I'm just going to show up fresh in each moment, and I'm going to go where I'm led, and I'm not going to over-explain myself. I can explain myself when I feels right, when it feels relevant. But at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for anyone. I'm doing this for humanity, and because I'm doing this for humanity, you have to stop caring about what the fuck humanity thinks about you. And you have to go to the only one true source of power. The only true source of validation you need is how connected am I to my own life force? How strong is that connection to life force? Where do I need to tweak my thoughts, my behaviors, my actions externally, my association in order to feel more of that life force, right? Strengthening, right? So POW 5, it's like you have made an incredible declaration on your life and what you will and will not stand for. And now your current assignment is strengthening your connection. What's going to fuel that fire? What's going to keep your flame alive? And that's going straight to source itself. Right, so I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Blessings on your journey. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Please like this video, comment down below, subscribe, and I hope I see you soon.